Hey out there, YouTube community. If you tuned into this channel, you tuned into this channel because you appreciate and like true critical thinking. The topic of this video is about Dr. King. Today's the official birthday of Dr. King. As some of you may or may not know, it's January 15th. And of course, the nation will be celebrating this holiday on the 20th. And I plan to issue a video about this great man on that day as well. But I just wanted to discuss a day of his life, or rather the day his life was ended, and how it affected me personally, and to give some who weren't around that time somewhat of a feel for what the nation was going through. But my own little personal story is this. On that day, during that evening, it was during the evening time, and I was a young kid in Indianapolis, Indiana. At the time, I was 13 years old, and from 6 months from that time, I would turn 14. But I was in between the limbo period, about to graduate from middle school and enter into high school. And at that time, on that particular evening, there was a popular TV show that was in syndication called Mod Squad that featured Clarence Williams III and former wife of Quincy Jones, Peggy Lipton, and the other actor, I'm sorry dude, out of sight, out of mind, but it's been 30 plus years probably since I've seen an episode of Mod Squad, even in syndication. But anyway, that's what I was watching. And Walter Cronkite, you guys, the famous clip where he comes and he announced, first the bulletin comes over, because they had what were considered news bulletins that would flash over in the midst of a show. And usually when a bulletin came about, it was very seldom ever was it about any good news. But so I knew something was bad was about to be said. And they announced that Dr. King had been shot. And instantly fear just overtook my spirit, because I was just like, I'm a young teenager, and I'm well aware of who he is, but still I don't completely know him, but I know him. He's Dr. King. And I don't know all his accomplishments, but I'm aware of his Montgomery boycotts and when another fearful incident occurred, when during the bombing of the church in Alabama and the 4 little girls were murdered. I remember Dr. King being at the forefront, so to speak, and trying to be the moral conscious, which is a philosophy that he took a lot of heat for, but he never abandoned. And still, some 10, 15 minutes later, of course, the death announcement was announced. And at that point, my fear was overcome with sadness and pain for the King family, for Mrs. Scott King, and for Yolanda, who was so special to me. Yolanda was my original heartthrob. I thought Yolanda King was such a beautiful and cute young girl, and I would see her in the different little magazines from Ebony to Jet at the time, and I always thought she was so pretty, and didn't have a snowball's chance in where ever getting to meet her, and she kind of disappointed me a little bit later in life. Quick story: I was reading an interview in Essence magazine about her, and she was talking about, the question came up about her possibly ever getting married. And she said she probably, you know, she couldn't seem to find the right guy because the right guy had to be like her daddy. And of course, my heart sunk even lower because I knew for a fact that I couldn't compare to that guy. And I was like, she's not being realistic. Hell, there ain't going to be too many guys, period, that can measure up to that man. But anyway, moving on, getting back to the story, is the sadness and the pain that I felt for the King family. And not only that sadness, that spirit, and that pain was projected within the nation. Major sadness all around and condolences from everywhere. And on that particular day also, that was historical in relation to that incident, is Senator Robert Kennedy was in my hometown at that time, and he had announced to a group of at a rally, I think it was somewhere between 17th and 22nd on College Avenue. I can't give the exact location, but anyway, he announced to that crowd the assassination of Dr. King. He announced that he had passed away. But it was even more ironic on that same day that Senator Kennedy, who was, of course, pushing for the black vote, came to the Chevrolet plant in my hometown, and he was seeking the support of the UAW. And of course, he wanted to shake hands with some of the people, the people. He was that type of politician. And my dad got to shake hands with him and briefly speak with him. So on that day, the significance of that incident as regards to my family, my dad he felt joy and sadness on the same day because he talked about how he had shook hands with Robert Kennedy and how nice the guy was. And then at the same time, he saw, ironically, that on this same day, Senator Kennedy was announcing the assassination of Dr. King. And like I say, that was such sad moment in this nation's history. And that's why sometimes I get a little offended about the government's celebration, so to speak, as if they were really embracing and loving this man's philosophy. No, our government was at odds with this man's philosophy. This man was speaking anti-war. This man tried, like he said in his speech about being in the drum major piece, he wanted to be right on the war question. See, and that was a very unpopular statement that he gave, that he was against the Vietnam War. But anyway, this kind of mindset cost this man his life. So yes, I get somewhat offended, and I'm not impressed by 50 feet statues of Dr. King, because like I say, the nation gave its blessing through its law enforcement by J. Edgar Hoover. The one thing I'll always remember that Andrew Young made clear, he said on the FBI followed Dr. King every day of his life except on the day that he was assassinated. Now that shows you our government gave its blessing on the assassination of, yes, I will say, our leader, my leader. I ain't afraid. I'll take the hits. Yes, I will say this man was my leader. I'm not afraid to be in agreement with some who aren't afraid to say, yes, he was. He had his little faults and ills. Who doesn't have faults and ills? But without a doubt, without question, he was the moral compass of this nation. And that's what the FBI will be historically connected to, with the assassination of one of our nation's prolific leaders that wasn't a president. He was just a reverend. Outside of that, I want to issue some challenges to white America. Now, you truly say you believe in this man. I want anybody who truly knows, in some white community even. I know I ain't going to find no Malcolm X high school, and I know I won't find a Malcolm X library. But it's somewhere in this nation, there ought to be somewhere in one white community a Martin Luther King Jr. high school or a Martin Luther King Jr. Library in a white community. And if you know of such, I want to be able to look it up. I just don't want to take your word just because you say it's there. Send me an address with it or the location of the city. I want to be to look it up, because I will definitely, I'll be happy to give a video to say that yes, white America is catching on. And my second little, I guess, challenge I want to send to the white Americans: find me in your history any patriotic speech that you know that you believe can, let's say, pair on the level of the I Have a Dream speech or the Drum Major for Peace speech. If you can find any, just leave it, let me hear, and I'll look it up. And if I really can see it through your eyes, because sometimes there are some, you can believe it or not, if you really want to relate to what the white patriot sees, Google Philadelphia Freedom by Elton John. Listen to the lyrical content of that song, and then you'll understand how white people feel about America. The only part of that song that I know they didn't do, they didn't allow the Philadelphia Freedom to truly shine through the eyes of the ones left behind, which is us. But if you want to understand how white people relate to the American concept and the dream, Google Philadelphia Freedom and you'll find out what it's all about. I gotta go. And as always, I'm hoping somebody can send me something that can prove me wrong about whites and they're moving in the direction of equality. Like I say, that's not hard to do. Give me one Dr. King high school in a white community, or one Dr. King library, or any truly government facility in a white community in this man's honor. And I have one more request, and this is from my own people. Don't live your life in vain. This man gave you a formula where you don't have to live your life in vain. All you got to do is go out and do something good for somebody. Say something good to somebody. Uplift somebody's spirit. Try to feed somebody a plate or fix them a sandwich and take it to them. I don't care. Do something good for somebody. Look in that old closet. You got junk in that closet that you don't need. Take it down there and give it to somebody on the skid row somewhere in your community. Give them a blanket. Anything. Find a pantry or a soup line where you can just encourage the people in the soup line, even if you ain't got no soup to give them. Give them a word of hope. I know you can do it. I know I'm going to be out there doing it. I'm going to put my mouth where my money where my mouth is. I'm going to issue you the video and show you what a real black person is supposed to be in their community. You ain't supposed to be running around showing the degradation in your community. Show the value in your community. And that's what I'm going to be bringing to you on this day. And any other day, I'm going to try to be bringing you the best, because I love you people. I truly do. This is my mission in life, to do for others and see the value in them. As well, then I can see the value in myself. If I can see, when I see wickedness in them, I'm seeing wickedness in me. I don't want to see that. I truly want to see true happiness in my spirit. So I'm going to spend my life looking for the good and the value in the worst person so they claim. There's value in everybody. And that's how I'm going to close this out. If you want to get yourself on the happy trails, as I always say, live like you on the happy trails and do something good for somebody. You understand me? That's how you get on the happy trails, people. Until then, as I always say, peace to the YouTube community and happiness. Bye.